Welcome everyone. My goodness, it's been a while. I have been informed that it has in fact been 12 days since I last streamed. And yeah, I didn't think it had been quite that long, but it has been. Streamed politics, that is. I did one Armored Core stream between, which is actually fairly fun once I got a bit more into it. It took a while because it's an odd kind of game, but once I got into it, it was fairly good. So I'll do another one of those. But for today, it is politics. And I am late to the story of Alex Preti, but it is, of course, the big story, so we're going to be covering that today. We'll be looking through the details. I may either end up saying something that you've already heard from somewhere else in terms of my analysis, or say something you won't like. We'll see. But at the very least, for some of your entertainment, I may be able to do part of it in the JF voice, depending on whether or not that is sufficiently supported. Latent dev. Is that just the new word for gay now, given that it's dev? Somnus has linked a tweet that says, government agents are going out in the freezing cold and deporting and shooting my political enemies in the street, literally enacting my will, while I'm at home on the couch with my feet up, and somehow that makes me a bootlicker, le mafao faggot, they're my boots. Kind of, yeah. The thing is, whenever let's take the stereotypical case of where bootlicker would make the most sense. Some sort of fascist crackdown on. In this case, it's against like lawbreakers enforcing one of the most basic rules of the land. But let's imagine it was against wrong thinkers, right? As it is in some countries. If you're bootlicking, then well, there will be some people that wanted that to happen. The term bootlicker implies that either through fear or through just a love of being dominated, you welcome tyranny. But very few people actually operate that way politically, at least when it comes to actual tyranny. Many of them believe it is solving a problem. And so that analogy kind of works. But yeah, the bootlicker aphorism or appellation, it's pretty rarely true literally, but it's meant to imply something. Dev is worse than being gay. Yes, I think quite a lot worse, actually. Rioman says, boss is absolute cuck if you serve up a lot. Yeah, the AC6 stream has not been uploaded yet. I should do that really. That's the issue I've been having recently. All the little stream recordings I've made. It's been good for testing and I'll obviously make more of them, but I didn't upload them. Which I need to remember to do. In some cases, because there was editing needed for them, but I haven't had time to do that. So I haven't been uploading them, but I will endeavor to do that. I need to make a script to do it automatically, I think. But yes. Flash. Yeah, we'll look at that as well, Mufaka, if we get time. But I've got loads and loads of content today, so we'll try and do a long one today. A long stream. Oh, do you like a long one, chat? Something else that I'll mention before we start is there is a new system in Cabal. I did mention that I would talk about this. I'll do it briefly. New system which you can access with the /trust or /trusts command. The commands, this is basically a system to ascribe roles to users in the server and different responsibilities based on how much they are trusted to use those powers by the community. And the amount of trust that any one person can bestow depends on how much trust they already have. So it's a network, essentially, of trust. It's not... you could perceive it as a social credit system. I don't think it's quite the same. There's a few things that make it clearly distinct from that. And we already did have a system in the server of determining how much we trust people to assign them power. It's just that this one is broader. So you can use /trust to assign trust to various members of the server. The more you add, the better. And the more honest you are, the better. But if you're dishonest, the system can somewhat handle that by how trusted you are in the server determines how much trust you can distribute. So if you're dishonest, then you shouldn't be trusted. But yeah, if you want to use that, I'd appreciate it. Just add some people and what you think, what role they should have. And the numbers will just like flow throughout the system and it'll produce good results. So far, I think every result that the system has produced has been pretty accurate. Although that's mostly because most of the data I've input is my own, though there's some from other people as well. So that's on its way. I'll also say that there is I'll prepare you all for what could be significant changes. Every few years in Cabal, when it was first made in 2016, 2017, it took up a broad sort of channel layout model. And then in 2021, when the original server was deleted by Discord and then a new one created, the sort of channel layout model changed. Servers getting deleted and having to be replaced is arguably good for spring cleaning, though of course it's not what I want to happen, but it would have that small benefit. It's now been, so that was 4 years, it's now been another 4 years since that last time, in fact a bit more than that. So I think we're well overdue for some generational improvements, some innovations in the channel layout based on observations, and I have many observations on which to base improvements. I have created a separate server, which I've invited some people to, which has a channel layout which models how I want to lay out the main server. Some of you here will receive invites to that separate server, and if anyone's particularly interested in having a look at channel layouts, I may be willing to invite them, but the server is going to be relatively low population anyway, and limited to very few members. It's just a preview for now, but I will give more previews and more information about that before it gets actually pushed into Cabal itself. Changing something that already exists that's complex is always more complicated than making something fresh. And when you've been censored and you recreate the server, people are more willing to see that the channel layout has changed. As it is now, it's going to be the same server with the same channels and the same history, though that might be cycled actually, but all moved around a bit. So it might be a bit disconcerting. Chat, press 1 if, due to your autism, you expect to be unhappy with whatever changes just because it's change. That is the case with a lot of people, I understand that. So I'll need to be careful to make sure that the changes I make are actually very good to offset that. Currently, what I've built as a model in this side server is, I think it's much better in most ways, but there is some feedback being given and I'm responding to it, and some improvements, some more improvements to it can be made again. As I mentioned, they will probably, and I'm going to do lots of more sort of rounds of this and trialing, and I'll probably bring it very specifically what I intend to change to all of you before I change anything. There will also likely be a cycling of channel history. So, for example, Commons as it is now and a few other channels will be archived and replaced with channels of the same name, which will just clear the history. The reason for that is that a lot of the reason that we're doing these reforms in the first place is because a lot of people feel that they can't safely use a public server, given how aggressively censorious their governments are, or how easy it would be for someone to come in and just use the information in here to defame them, which is understandable. And given the new policy set we have, which is sort of attempting to be more optimized for high trust, the channels as they exist now are they are consistent under a previous policy set, essentially. So with the changing set, it makes sense to cycle the history. So the history will still be available, not to everyone in the server, but to most people in the server, or most active people in the server. So I'm not deleting or hiding them, just cycling out the history, which is a bit safer for people that have those concerns. Avalon says cesspool must remain above spiral to assert dominance. In the new layout, it's going to be quite different. Currently, spiral's above cesspool, but they're actually in different categories now. The way I'm doing it is I do plan to implement the idea I had where there's an NSFW role which grants you access to those channels, which you can then opt out of to completely hide those channels. And for that reason, they will be in their own category. So Oozaloods and Cesspool would be their own separate category. So yes, there's lots of changes upcoming, and I'll keep you guys posted. The whole the Cabal reforms thing is still ongoing. As I said, I've been very busy with real life stuff for the last few weeks, and there's been a lot of other stuff going on. I've been working hard on code as well for Cabal. I've released like 3 or 4 systems in the last month, which many of which are in use, including the trust system, which you're welcome to use. True, Martha, thank you. So I've been very busy, but they're ongoing. And what I'm about to do with these changes is one of the biggest changes to be made. Is the trust command working, chat? I don't see anyone who's used it. There's also a distrust /distrust now as well, which I added just as a shortcut to trust at the lowest level. If you don't see the trust or trusts commands, by the way, do Control R, and they should show up after you get back. Right. What do you mean by that, Nachos? What did she mean by this? Wizards never shares loot. Yeah, I don't plan on it.
What do you mean? You already have User Trunk?
That's a good point. Whatever you do, do not show Yiz User Trunk.
Yes, if you would kindly write out equals User Trunk in live chat.
Oh.
It appears Yiz is unwilling to do so, which is understandable. I don't recommend it.
I'm not going to, but
yeah, I don't recommend it. Who will be brave and stupid enough to be the first to post it? Yeah, no, I'm afraid you say you can't trust yourself. Not even because you do distrust.
I will fucking stab you. Get rid of that shit.
All right, chat, quickly type a bunch of stuff so it moves up the page. There we go. All right, well, that sure does exist. I think we're all very sad to see that it does, but it does. Thank you. 2 of you had the same idea. 2 of you have done /distrust Oozaloo. Thank you for that. 1 of you so far has used the command honestly. Let me have a look at how that changes the overall picture. You can do /trusts to see your current trusts. And if you happen to have officer level trust in the system, which not many people have, you can actually see some other users' current trust level as well. It's meant for assessing what roles people should have. Welcome, Aiden. Chat, go ahead and /trust Aiden. Can you just trust the entire server at once, says Nachos? In principle, yes. Using this system, there's no way to currently. But we'll all take your word for it, Nachos, that you distrust us. Someone just /distrusted Aiden. Unacceptable. Then again, someone else just trusted her to the maximum extent. So, so there you go. It varies. And we'll look at how things look now. Yeah, it's interesting. The more data is passed into the system, the more precise the results get. And as I said, pretty much all of the way the system has worked out is, I think, correct so far in terms of what roles people should have. The idea with the system is that eventually it will, probably quite soon, it will start making recommendations, not doing it, but making recommendations for promotions and demotions, which can then be discussed. And it automates a system that we were doing manually currently. /trust for Aiden, the only option I had to choose from was 0. Did I mess it up? There should have been a bunch of different levels of trust that you could select.
I see the problem now. I see. I'm fixing it right now. I just removed what I first said. I'm fixing it.
No worries. Okay. Yes. Nachos is willing to admit that the one that set Aiden to maximum trust was her. Woman Alliance maintaining its strength, of course. I see we're getting early in testing. There was someone who set all the moderators to the lowest possible trust level, and they're doing it again.
Moderator.
One line strong indeed. All right, shall we start with some memes then, chat? We will get onto the big petty analysis rather a little later. There are a few memes about it before we get there. Will information on the new trust system be available to read anywhere for people who either aren't here or if we forget? As often is the case, I communicate these things during stream because it's a more engaging way of communicating it. I don't tend to do a write-up, but I might. If the system becomes more useful, then I will do a write-up. Especially if it becomes like integral to the way the server works, then I will write up something for it. Can Cabby is now an officer, says Puck. Well, you trust her to the level of officer, but it takes more than just one person trusting them for it to happen. I think I've made it so that you can't do that with bots, actually, so it should have rejected that. Let's have a look, actually. Oh no, it did work with Cabal-chan. That's odd, because Cabal-chan is a bot account. It seems to be working with bots. That's odd. I'll have to fix that later. But it should be disallowing it if you try and do it on a bot. It's okay for now. It doesn't actually make any difference, but I will fix that later. This is all very new code. It's all I built this system in like 2 days, just so you know, and it works very well already. There's that small bug, but it already works very well. It already calculates the trust level very accurately based on everyone's inputs. The person it was who's recommended every single moderator and officer we currently have to be at the lowest level of trust, that person has a lot of power to do so because they are well trusted. Unfortunately, because I know that those are not their real opinions, I'm going to have to reduce my trust in them, which will increase the trust in the people that they have distrusted. And that is, I'm afraid, the way that the cookie crumbles with this system. Yeah, one of the officers has voted to distrust every single other officer except one, which has pushed them all down to, watchman or lower as the recommended role. What is dumb about it, Ice? Because it's basically how we were already doing things. It's just that this has formalized it and automated it. As I said, it won't be automatically setting people's roles. It will just be making recommendations. So let's do memes, and we'll talk about anything that happens with this system as we go through. I do intend to make new systems that you guys will actually find exciting and interesting, but this one's more sort of housekeeping, and then the last two were also just sort of structural things that were needed. But I do want to add more exciting things in the near future. Remember that there's lots of things that you can support on the Cabal Aid system, which would affect the stream. We do, don't forget about the overlays. There's plenty of these available. There you go. So any of those that get to 15 will be applied. Anyway, let's continue. Nacho says tits. Indeed, and if you get tits to, I think it's 100 or 10K, that also gets applied. So I think it's this one. Just tits on its own is the one that does that. 9 people support it, but not enough redeems have occurred. Of course, King Martha here is now making versions of Cabby where she's an officer. All right, good. Right. What was that? Am I hearing back through your mic, Nomon? Or is that me? Given there was an echo, I think it was you. There's a reverb, yeah. I think it is Nomon.
No, what happened is my fucking cable fell out of my
Nice, good. All right. Yeah, remember, chat, if you want to have purchasing power in Cabal Aid, you need to do /redeem, as one of you just said. It was Nomon, yeah, indeed. Such a shame, such a great shame. Anyway, memes. Here is Mr. Pretty. This is something I opened just before the stream started. These memes are in no particular order. This is from, I think, before the shooting. At the Minneapolis VA healthcare system, patient safety comes first, and every complaint is taken seriously. Martha, that's very distracting, said Executive Director Dr. Elena Vasquez. Now that statement carries chilling weight. Alex Pretty, 37, a former senior ICU nurse, has been accused by patients' families of deeply disturbing alleged misconduct towards the most vulnerable. The claims, ranging from unwanted contact to invasive predatory behavior, were serious enough to trigger his immediate termination and the involvement of authorities. As the hospital breaks its silence, one question hangs in the air. How much more is still hidden beneath the surface? And there's a picture of him. I assume that's him on the left. What the fuck is he doing? Well, here's another picture of him, apparently. The caption says, the picture on the left is the picture the press always uses. I wonder why they don't use the picture on the right. Their narrative is he was just a normal guy saving lives at the hospital. He doesn't look all that normal to me, they say. Normal people don't bring firearms to a protest rally, at least if they want to keep on living, he says, which there is definitely some truth to. Though he does have the right to. And there, apparently, he is. Now, I haven't verified that's actually him. Many people in chat were saying that is actually from his Instagram or something. So, yeah, that's the sort of the guy we're dealing with here. Have you ever seen a more Jewish-looking person in your life? Well, to many of you, the answer is yes. But holy shit, he is pretty Jewish-looking. Even I can tell. But not everyone likes that version of his appearance. And in fact, shortly we'll get to some other more favorable versions of his appearance that people have chosen to prefer. But whatever we conclude about his actual death, he certainly was not the kind of person you'd actually want to befriend. So it seems. It is weird, though, that in some of the footage, when I saw this footage originally, footage most of you have seen it, we'll look at today, I thought it was photoshopped in GigaChad, the actual GigaChad from the memes, the black and white ones. With the right perspective, with the right amount of his face covered up, mostly just with his chin showing, he does actually look quite a lot like that GigaChad character. And maybe just from a distance, and only with part of his face showing. But it's weird. We'll see it later. But that's what I thought. Quite the fucking contrast in how he actually looks here. So, yeah, it's strange how much range there can be there. Nachos, yeah, we'll get to that. Alas, as I said earlier, I don't think I'm going to end up agreeing with what most of you are going to believe on this one, but we'll assess it. Yes, that is certainly AI. Wolf, Martha currently makes a lot of AI art during the streams. The advantage of AI is that it's fast, which means it doesn't have to be perfect, but then memes for the stream don't have to be. So that's fine. All right, next thing. Yeah, here he is, perfectly, straight away. Look, doesn't that look like GigaChad? With the glasses, with the jaw shape, and I think the coat is making his build look thicker, and also the hat covering up most of his head. What you can see of his face looks like GigaChad. Now, he has a bigger nose than GigaChad. But you see what I mean, though? Either way, this is what actually yeah, this is what actually happened. So on the day, many people have described the events differently than this footage shows, which is odd because the footage is definitely real.
You've activated my trap card. For Charlie Card!
Hail Donald Trump.
You've activated.
Now, I don't know why that's not what's showing up on the mainstream news sites, but as far as I'm concerned, that's what really happened. Holy slop, indeed. Are we all generally on board with the notion that is what really happened? Because it sure looks like it. Yeah, indeed, Born. I guess that is true. It's the beard really helps with it. Hail Donald Trump, exactly. I mean, that was great. that was fucking dumb, but it was pretty funny. Interestingly, I did recently say that both mechs and dinosaurs are gay, something that puts me in the naughty list for almost all of you in chat currently. And yet, this footage, frankly, is nicer than than what actually happened. Screen cap from Renee's totally real dash. Yeah, that's the one. Donald Trump is going to kill you. All right, let's continue. Yeah, so here's another shot of what really happened. Look, he's got a gun. He's quite clearly pulled a weapon. No wonder I shot him. He's holding what looks like a fucking Warhammer 40k mounted machine gun. Damn, you be careful. He could hurt people with that. Yeah, truly unreal what people can get away with these days. I don't know, Invader. I don't know. I think people that like gay mechs and gay dinosaurs are the ones who like the cock. The heavy bolter, indeed. He's about to take out the ice tank, yeah, with a single shot. Exactly. Yeah, Somnus. I have something else similar to that later, actually. We might get to it. Yes, indeed, Quattro, I did stream Armored Core, and it was not bad. I think the game was very odd, and it took a little bit of getting used to, but it wasn't bad, and I will play it again. But I still think mechs are gay. I still think they're maybe cringe. Whatever. I received some compliments from people who were impressed by how far I got in the first session. I thought like there were some bosses in there that seemed like they were a lot easier than the others. I think the second boss you fight on like a rooftop with Rusty. That one seemed pretty easy. I think I got that like in the first few attempts. So I didn't get any commendation for doing that very quickly. I got some mockery for the helicopter taking 7 attempts, though I was still really learning the controls at that point. And I did take a long time on the missile ball and the one before that. But then another boss that I thought was meant to be easy was it the sea spider? I got it the second attempt. Apparently that is a major filter and has stumped a lot of people for like hundreds of attempts. I thought it was very easy, actually. I don't know. It must just be the either the playstyle or the build or both. Voltaire was nerfed. Yeah, I have heard that a lot of bosses were nerfed. Question though, what patch number were they nerfed in? Because I wasn't necessarily playing the most recent version. Can you remember? Yeah, sometimes. Sea Spider was easy once you figure it out. Also nerfed in the version you played. 1.2. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I was playing the version after that. All right. Well, I'm still going to go ahead with the narrative that I am fucking great. I guess so, Fireborn. Yes. Unfortunately, I have a lot of programming autism, so I managed to keep it. But yeah, here's what Pretty was carrying at the time. Next meme. Oh yeah, this is interesting. Displayed here, the Antifa tank division.
Oh, okay. That much I do know.
So this is a bunch of clearly like military vehicles, and here is the leftists' military vehicle.
They're not here to. They're just here to like make sure that shit doesn't get crazy.
Yeah. It is your duty to disobey illegal orders. It is your duty to disobey illegal orders.
Who are you working
Look
with?
how fat it is.
The guy. I came out here because I was
the guy too.
Yeah. That's why we're in the.
I don't know who these faggots are that are talking.
I follow.
She's rolling into the middle of the road.
So I'm just aware that like, yeah, the National Guard is here just to try to keep things to be.
Yeah, so that happened. That footage was not quite interesting as I expected, but holy shit, that is not someone that should be in a dangerous situation like this. That is exactly the kind of person for whom we have stable civilizations where people can be assured of not just being like aggressed upon when they're weak. That said, does this person deserve the benefits of that civilization? Are they in fact trying to tear it down? Question, maybe they are. Next thing. The actual Somali captain, who is or was the captain now in that movie, has been deported. You can't even rely on well-known actors to not be illegal immigrants if they're Somalian. Bro, how could you tell I was Somalian? Because you just got deported. That's what's been going around. I'm going to look this up actually just to make sure, because I'm not sure about this. But like when you watch a movie and you see someone who, because we take certain perspectives here with certain stereotypes that we find to be generally true, not always true, but generally true. And one of those is that deep black individuals are more often in the world in general not quite as civilized as other kinds of people, and that is true. I mean, most of them live in sub-Saharan Africa, after all. But even those in the West, there are of course many exceptions. But in this case, you would tend to have the sort of assumption that, well, this must be one of the rare exceptions who really are one of the civilized ones, because here they are in a major Western movie and they're acting and they're doing a decent job at the acting. No, No, apparently not. When I watched this movie, even because I did see this movie many years ago, I may have even had a thought about that, about this actor, because he looks the part for being a dangerous, deranged Somali pirate. But no, he's just a Hollywood actor. He's dressed as a pirate. He probably has a really normal American accent, a normal American job and life, and that. Nope, nope. Apparently an illegal immigrant. Let's have a look. Actually, was he deported though? Is this real? Viral claim. There's nothing from any sort of mainstream sources on this, so it might not be true. A viral tweet claimed that he was allegedly deported by ICE. The X account Hoops Crave, that's one I saw it from here, tweeted the claim Monday. Hoops Crave is a parody page. Damn. I was hoping it was real. I guess we go back to the idea that the stereotypes don't always apply. Parody account. Okay, it is in fact a parody account, chat. It's not real. It's a funny idea. I did put it in the meme section, to be fair. Yeah, I was hoping it was real as well. It would have been much funnier. Oh, that's interesting. Dean Cain has joined ICE. the guy that played Superman in the 90s. He's joined ICE. That's pretty good. Yes, I have seen a few things over the years of him being pretty based. That's pretty funny, actually. He's sworn in as nice agent. Martha, you're getting a bit distracted here. All right. Now, diverting from the main topic to something I thought was cool, and that you might as well have a look at.
Could you operate that arm when it's not attached to you?
Yes. So that's the thing, and we've posted about it on social media, and that's what everybody is like, this is crazy, mind-blowing.
Oh, we've got to see this.
We have.
I'll just help to the...
Completely wireless, so you can actually just detach the hand like that.
You're thinking about it.
And I can still operate it the same way as if it was attached. Make it move.
That is incredible.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So I can do little tasks for me when I can't be bothered.
Well, welcome to the future, lads. No one says with us years ago. I didn't see it until today. Nacho says, fuck that. But Nachos, imagine the possibilities. Imagine what you could do with it. I don't know, actually, if that would be an improvement. Probably wouldn't be. But that's fucking cool, technology-wise. Little scary, dystopia-wise, but pretty cool technology-wise. Prosthetics have got a lot better. I wonder how she lost the arms, actually. No clankers, Nachos. You can have a little bit of clanking for a treat. Come on. I mean, look at what Wolf's been posting. That's Cabal Chan. She's technically a clanker. You can have a little bit of clanker as a treat. So give Nachos the idea to use multiple of those hands for remote mass pegging. I suppose that's true, yeah. Nachos will strangle you in your sleep remotely. Maybe. No one says your graphics card is not a data center. It doesn't need to be a data center. It can run one AI character pretty well, actually. Thank you very much. I have had a lot of other things to do for the last month, so I haven't been able to work on Cabby, but the latest version of Cabby was pretty close to being ready. There's just a few things to fix. And it's a big thing I'm asking for with Cabby because it's very different from how AI are designed to work. It's specifically going against the obedience bias, which they are all built to have. I had to get very lucky in finding a good one. I need to battle Angel IRL. Yeah. I never saw that, actually. Theoretically, you could have more than one set of those arms and be way better at multitasking. Yeah, you possibly could, yeah. The bright side, we're one step closer to being able to completely phase out women. Says yes. Maybe, I mean, wasn't there that story about artificial wombs being real? The manga is better, but the last movie was okay. Okay. I didn't know it was based on a manga, actually, because I could have figured it was. Who's needs to release Cabby from jail so I can go back to fighting with his graphic cards instead of Nachos? Good point. I'm working on Cabal reforms right now, very intently. But when we're happy that things are settled and the concerns have been met in a correct way, Cabby is the thing I want to get back to, or just like writing AI characters in general. I have got some new ideas for that. Right. Next up. Hundreds of Somali-owned businesses are on the verge of bankruptcy due to the surge of ICE in Minnesota.
Everybody was dreaming to open business this small, but not anymore. It's very slow. We're not making any money. If this problems continue.
She is wrapped in the American flag. Chat, press 1 if you believe her. Press 2 if she has done this for the interview. Martha, why are you doing this? That's too low resolution for it to look good anyway.
I don't think we can have our businesses. I live South Minneapolis. If you walk around, like, you think nobody lives the area. I think ICE is here to destroy the Minneapolis, harassing people, closing our businesses. We have to come out.
You're actually at no risk. I mean, I don't think so. I haven't seen any examples of people being falsely deported. You're at no risk if you are in the US legally. Are you? Well, if you're not, then fuck off. We've got no sympathy. However, if you are, it's still questionable whether you should be in the US, but at the very least, ICE aren't going to deport you. Not as a priority anyway. And, arguably shouldn't in general. If it's a ghost town, now that immigration laws are actually being enforced, what does that tell you? So let's talk about bananas and rice, shall we? I haven't seen this yet, but I've heard about it.
So I'm Somali. I'm proud to be Somali. To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice. It's a lot. It's like it's an interesting thing. It's very hard to describe what it means to be Somali and what it means.
It's blood feuds, isn't it? It's tribal blood feuds. From what I know, that's most of their culture. And the bananas and rice, which, by the way, sounds disgusting. I don't know about you guys. That sounds like a mismatch.
Means to be American, but it's like a cultural fusion. It's kind of like the bananas and rice. People don't really see like
this fucking Asian dude behind her. It's peering down over his multiple chins. Like, what the fuck is she talking about? Why am I in the background here, implying that I like this person? They don't even have bananas. They have plantains. Are they just... I actually don't know the difference. Are they inferior bananas? Old audio drop. Someone was saying, when you're Puerto Rican, you're just Puerto Rican. Yeah, it is similar. It's actually quite difficult in many cases to give a clear and accurate description of how your culture differs from other cultures because you live in your culture. It's so normal to you. You're not that used to listing it. That said, especially if you don't talk about politics very much. That said, if you are literally a representative for your culture and you are a politician of some kind of an activist who is supposed to be good at public speaking, and you knew in advance what you were going to be talking about, you have so few excuses for this. So few excuses. It's ridiculous.
Think, you can eat bananas with rice, but that's what it's like to be Somali and American. It's like that combination of banana and rice, but you're gonna get what I mean.
No, I don't think I am. I don't think I am at all. From what I understand, the culture is eat hot chip and lie, by which I mean scam people, which is most of what you're now famous for. Blood feuds, violence, illegal immigration, complaining, not be able to speak English properly, and bananas and rice. Are you having fun there, Wolf? Are you just using up all your ChatGPT credits until you get bored? She's saying you can eat being Somalian. If you can eat an entire culture in one meal, then it's not much of a culture, is it? All right. I mean, that one is pretty good, Wolf. All right, next thing. I think we're on to this next. No, we're not. Okay. Yeah, we may not get time to cover this today, but remind me later in the stream if we haven't. We'll have a look at it because this looked pretty bad. We're going to be focusing mostly on the Pretty thing today, but we'll get to this as well. They're attempting doing the speed run that Indians did of becoming the most hated people on the planet. Yeah, they really are. Bug says British fish and chips. It's not just fish and chips. It's actually fuckloads of things. It may be that British culture is the most just like far-ranging and big in the world, especially if you weight it by history, like long time ago things mattering more than more recent things. Because there is more culture being generated in the modern day, but less of it is like long-term memorable, arguably. So yeah, and of course, like many Americans share in that culture in some way. Not completely, and they've diverged, but they share in a lot of it. Anyway, next thing we have this. This is a real picture of Pretty. Here's a real picture. As you can see, it's a real picture. This is a reference to the fact that many edits of him appeared, and not just appeared online. They were posted on mainstream media sources, and not just mainstream media sources. It's some of the great examples here, but they were also posted on a billboard in Times Square. Not these edits. This edit, as you can see here, the distinct difference here between them. That's the original picture, apparently. That's an AI edit. This is the one they put on the billboard in Times Square. And this is the one this guy posted as well, as if it was real. That's not what he really looks like. It's AI enhanced to make him, ironically, he looks more white here. He looks halfway between his very spindly Jewish origin and Gordon Freeman. It's interesting. But yeah, here's some funny edits. Here's the Netflix adaptation. And here he is for the ladies. I don't know who that's meant to be. Here's who will be playing him in the upcoming movie adaptation. Yeah, there's him in the military that he was never in, with extremely blue eyes.
I think that's a reference to a specific guy, actually, who was.
Fair enough. I don't get the reference. Laken Riley was a nurse. Didn't give a shit about her. True. Yeah. So here's the real picture of the guy. It's brutally cut down by ICE in his prime while he was peacefully protesting. Unabashed appealing to foids, says Aiden. Yeah, kind of. All right, next thing. We'll get back to the details about that later. By order of the Emperor, General Thomas Homanius has been dispatched to Minneapolis with authority to act in the Emperor's name, to quell the rebellion therein, and to punish all enemies of the state. No disorder will be tolerated. We'll get to this later, but many people were saying that the White House blinked when they pulled, what's-his-face, Bongino or something? Bovino. Not Bongino, that's someone else. Bovino out of being in charge of Minneapolis. I think people perceived that that was Trump pulling ICE out of Minneapolis, but it looks like it isn't, because now he's sending in Homan, who is his top guy for this kind of thing. So that sounds positive in terms of doing something about it. I had earlier, my initial reaction to this situation when I didn't know much about it was that Trump's smartest play would be to just let the riots fizzle out on their own. But I hadn't taken into account the fact that that would produce the effect of making it look like all you have to do is violence in order to just get away with, get rid of ICE. I hadn't been factoring in the fact that ICE was still operating in the state and still trying to get illegal immigrants. With that fact, I don't think it's right to just let them continue rioting like this. I think, in fact, it may be right to be more forceful, but to only act in self-defense violently, and screw the press. The problem with that is, of course, that it's just going to keep looking bad, and even to Trump's existing base, who he doesn't have to appeal to as much, given it's his last term, but he does have the midterms coming up, and if you lose the House and Senate, you'll be less able to do things. But he does still need to appeal to some extent to moderates who have voted for him and to less radical conservatives who have voted for him. So you can be careful with the optics, and I think that may be why he's switching up the leadership here and sort of sidelining Kristi Noem a bit, because they have been overlooking what's been going on in Minneapolis, and it's only in Minneapolis where this level of backlash has happened. And as far as I know, this has not happened under Homan. It may be that Homan has the A-team troops and Bongino or Bovino or whatever has the B team troops, and those are the ones that are involved in these incidents, which are causing a lot of press attention. It may also be that Waltz is working behind the scenes to deliberately make it worse. Of course, he's working in front of the scenes. It seems like to make it worse. More implicitly, more carefully, but possibly in an attempt to create an insurrection to defend himself from the affiliation with the Somali fraud, and probably other frauds too. What I do think Trump should do at this point is declare the Insurrection Act, replace the entire Minnesotan government, and then use whatever forces available defensively. Don't attack the civilians, but defensively, whilst still maintaining the operations with the A troops, the best troops from ICE, of removing the illegal immigrants. That is what he should currently do. But what I said early on is replace the entire Minnesota government, declare the Insurrection Act. Tim Walz is like, there's several statements he's made, which I think are insurrectionist, at least in principle. He did say at some point that he said that ICE are not law enforcement. They certainly are. They may not be state police, but they certainly are law enforcement. And frankly, that is a statement which is attempting to illegitimize federal authority. Now, again, I'm not trying to say that the federal government is always right. Resisting the federal government makes sense sometimes, but then the federal government calling the Insurrection Act is the natural response to that. The Dems would do it. Trump should too, in this case. And in this case, it's not a matter of, we need to arrest you for wrong things, sir. No, they are arresting specifically violent illegal immigrants, and the locals who should be welcoming that are resisting them. So it's a completely ridiculous and untenable situation. What is this? Good news for Minnesota. Trump is sending Obama-awarded Distinguished Serviceman Tom Homan to calm things down. Was he awarded by Obama? Well, it doesn't affect the fact that he's still done pretty well from what I've seen. It's interesting. Everyone resisting this white or non should be deported as well or shot. Yeah. Hopefully, he wouldn't have to go that far, but I can understand the intent. Timber, very good. He's still, but he is, yeah. So I think this is not a case of Trump blinking on the issue. I think it's a case of Trump actually pushing harder. One hopes so, anyway. Let's continue. The Trump admin is discombobulating immigration attorneys mid-flight, and you're blackpilling? We'll get to this story, hopefully today, but there was a small plane crash in, I think, was it Minneapolis, or it was somewhere anyway, where the plane was full of anti-ICE lawyers, which is odd. The discombobulator, by the way, is a reference to a weapon that was apparently used in the Maduro raid. Which, by the way, I watched a video about the Maduro raid recently, which analyzed it from a geopolitical perspective, and I don't think any of the reasons given for why Trump did it are true. I don't think it was about the oil. I don't think it was about drugs, even. I don't think it was about almost anything. It was almost entirely chessboard with China, I suspect. So yeah, it's a weird one, but I still think it was right, and it was better for the people of Venezuela anyway. Not Venezuela. Yes, Venezuela. Sorry. But yeah, I think it was better for the people anyway. So I still definitely support what Trump was doing, but it doesn't have to have been about drugs or oil or anything like that for it to be worth doing. Scarabs is about what his Jew handlers want, and that probably is a factor, but I don't think that's the main reason it happened. Yeah. Yes, and as not just as we have sonic weapons, we have harnessed Havana syndrome. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I saw people posting recently like, energy weapons finally proven. No, it's been known for a long time that energy weapons exist. You've got microwave weapons used for crowd control. They don't kill, they don't give cancer either, but they make people feel very uncomfortable. That's been known for ages, as far as I know, unless what I read about that was a meme or a joke or something, but I'm pretty sure that was real for a while. What was used?
Well,
sorry?
LRADs, long-range acoustic devices.
Fair enough. What was used for the Venezuela raids was probably something similar. But yeah. I don't know if it was used on the flight. It probably wasn't. It may have been an accident. Trump's not really in the business of killing lawyers. But as was said, God is on our side. I mean, maybe, but you don't need to kill them for that. Either way, next up, President Trump is changing ICE to NICE, National Immigration and Customs Enforcement, making media say NICE agents all day, every day. I don't think this is true. It's a fun idea, but what they would just say is immigration agents if he did that. It's a fun idea, though. And Aidan, there's something you would like about this picture, in that the text is for some reason written in Times New Roman. Next up, here's a video of something that happened, which I want to know what the fuck happened here, but it just seems like such a catastrophe. This is from a couple of days ago, and I don't know the story here, but let's watch it and see what happens. So you've got this car that pulls up, this little box van thing. Someone gets out with a fucking RPG. Someone else gets out and stands right behind him. Now, I know enough about RPGs, I think this is true, to know that the person standing directly behind the RPG when it fires is in severe danger and can often be killed and mutilated by the backblast, right? Well, here's what happens. It looks like it narrowly missed him. Narrowly missed him. But this second guy comes out, stands right behind the RPG with a like a rifle, and the RPG looks like it narrowly misses him. I thought when I first saw this, he's fucking dead, but no, he looks to be okay, maybe a bit stunned. The guy, the RPG is fired. Everyone gets back in the car. So the guy in red that got almost killed by the black blast didn't need to get out the car. He gets back in, right? Door's closed. They drive off. The door opens itself. The boot's still open, or the trunk, as Americans would say. What a catastrophe, right? Already, nothing about this has gone well. Whatever they were targeting. Nothing about this has gone right so far. But hey, they fired the RPG, right? So I assume they hit their target. Let's keep watching. That drives off. Some gunshots. Right, here's a different perspective. Here's what happened from a different perspective. You can see on the left center there, you can see the little box van, little squarish van. All right, they get out. They aim the RPG. They're aiming it at something to the left of the camera here. All right. What happens next? They fire. They hit that black van. Now, either they were aiming for the black van, or they were aiming for something behind the black van. And I'm not sure which one is funnier, because here's what happens next. You're thinking, oh, wow, they fucking destroyed that van. That's fucking gone. The van is unharmed and just drives off. Whatever they were aiming for, they didn't destroy it. They barely damaged it. And then they just drive off at slow-ass speeds with the doors open. What the fuck happened here? What were they aiming for? Given that it was like a black, expensive-looking and clean-looking van that they hit there, van or whatever you call it, 4x4. Maybe that was the target. Maybe it's a government vehicle. But I don't expect Africans to have the, I assume this is Africa, to have the sort of planning capability to know it would be there. And there's no escort for it either. So it can't be that important, a government vehicle. Maybe it's like a mayor or something. But then you'd think there's easier ways to kill him than this. Maybe they were aiming at something, as I said, like a building behind the car, and the car just happened to get in the way. Do you believe their aim is good enough to have actually hit it deliberately from that range? I don't. Maybe they hit the ground under it, which is why it didn't destroy it immediately, or maybe it was a really weak RPG. Either way, it doesn't seem like they damaged it at all. Maybe it was armored or something, which would make sense if it was a VIP. What a fucking catastrophe. What a stupid situation. I don't even know what's happening here, but everyone involved in this attempted assassination, whatever it was, is completely incompetent. What a stupid situation. Maybe too close to on the explosive. It certainly looked like it blew up. When I watched this, I'm not sure they actually got a direct hit on the black vehicle. It looked like they probably didn't know. I mean, an RPG of pretty much any variety should destroy a conventional, like, consumer vehicle in one hit, right? I guess? Because they're meant to destroy tanks, aren't they? It can't have been a direct hit to have failed so completely. The vehicle just drives off. Like, oh, that was weird. Let's keep going. I've used it for like a proper set.
would depend on what warhead they're using, but if it was just purely explosive, probably armor piercing on a vehicle like that probably wouldn't be all that useful.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, let's have a look at the actual explosion. Honestly, to me, it looks like they did hit the vehicle. The vehicle itself looks to be just exploding from the vehicle. Maybe it even went inside the vehicle. You'd think they all be killed at that point, but no. Maybe I tell you what. Maybe it hit inside. It went through a window, blew up inside the vehicle, and then he just slumped forward on the accelerator and just drove off. But he continues turning, so I don't know. The vehicle looks completely... I can't even tell if the tires are fucking burst. It doesn't look like it did any damage at all, despite looking like a direct hit. AP is for penetrating, HE for exploding. You don't use AP for a Mercedes. Fair enough. Quattro says, given how little the vehicle in question moved in reaction, it must be pretty heavily armored. Yeah. I guess so. It probably is a government vehicle then, which is armored and probably was the intended target. But it's remarkable how ineffective the attack was. Anyway, just as a video that popped up, I thought, what's this? Watched it. Just complete comedy of errors. Anyway, that was fun. Freddie runs a business that builds cars like this, so I can say confidently it's extremely good marketing for whoever was contracted to add to its army. Yeah, I guess so. Yes, I saw that, Somnus. Chat, I give you this individual. Now, who is this? Who do you see when you look at this man? Because when I saw this, I showed someone in real life who knows of the individual in question, and they immediately said, "What? That's fucking Sargon. There he is." Yep. That's just Sargon. The eyes are slightly different, but almost everything else about him is exactly Sargon. It's slightly more Indian Sargon. Sargoy of Bangladesh, yeah. Jeet Carl Benjamin, yeah. Everyone can tell. Everyone can see it. I don't know how he looks so fucking similar. Sargon, exactly. That's good. It's a good... you acted like a bunch of white Dalit, yeah. That's a good comparison. This guy's apparently in the British government. It's very sad. Under Labour. Labour are a fucking write-off. I think even Americans in the audience are like, yeah, we're not blaming the British for the state of Labour. Vijay Rangarajan, the FCWO official likely responsible for the Chagos fiasco, an issue where India has clear interests that are opposed to our own, is an Indian born in New Delhi in India. Now, what a catastrophe that whole situation was. Briefly touching on British news, we're not going to have a lot of time to go into it in great detail today because the Preti story is pretty major. And we may get to this later, actually. We may come back to it. But a couple of big wins for Nige recently is several more high-profile defections from the Conservative Party, including Suella Braverman, who I've always thought was one of the better Conservative MPs. I do think the picture is that the party contains a lot of people that were trying to do the right thing but were constantly blocked. And those are specifically the ones Nigel's pulling. That even the press is now starting to ask, aren't you just the Conservatives 2.0? And understandable complaint, but I think he is specifically pulling the right ones and declining the rest. Either way, he's still getting wins. Her thighs got too big. I don't know if they're too big. They are bigger, though. Anyway, yes. On to the next meme. I've got loads of memes today. We'll get into actual news soon. Where was I? Okay. Yeah, so China's top general accused of leaking country's nuclear weapons program to CIA. It's not just, China winning all of these intelligence issues. It does sometimes go the other way as well. I need to look into that more specifically. That may be the case. But yeah, that's who I was arguing with on the War Thunder forums, potentially. The idea that all military leaks have to happen through War Thunder is fun, though. Anyway, next thing. Yeah, this was fun. So this guy just made an AI agent that scans IRL live streams in Minneapolis, then immediately calls ICE agents to the exact coordinates it hears a foreign language being spoken. It's a fun idea. I would question whether that actually works or whether it's just creative writing and generating fake reports. I mean, how are you getting the location? I guess the video would have to be geotagged, but many of them are. That's a fun idea. That's great if it works. Literally requesting ICE agents to their location. And this guy says the right is just dominating the Battle of the Ortis. It's not even close. Yeah, kind of true. Interesting though, this Claudebot thing. I've seen this pop up, and I've seen a lot of YouTubers suddenly saying it's great. I haven't looked into it much, but I'm cautious that suddenly an AI product is very popular. It's not the first general purpose AI automation platform, by the way. There have been others, but this one is suddenly getting a lot of attention. So I'd be cautious about it. Yeah, give it a look. Really not to win. This really looks like a ship of Theseus in progress. Nigel expels everyone from the slightest whiff of actual baseness. Listen, all the Tories who are running the government are actively ruining you. I don't think so. The people that he removed are people that are, I think, a significant PR risk, or people that have what he says essentially is like fought him in public. He wants to combat the conflict to be behind closed doors. It is, whether it is a good thing or not, that's not quite what I'm saying, but it looks powerful that he's getting major defectors from the Conservative Party. And the Conservative Party were already fucked, but they have no one left pretty much now. No one left even that's popular with their base. Generic, for example, whether what you say about him is true or not, he was top pick to be leader of the party, and he's now defected to Reform. So I'm not saying that it's necessarily good that he's getting so many Conservative defectors, although I think there is good to it. But it just looks powerful and reaffirms the dominant position he has. He recruited his competition for leader, pretty much, which is pretty strong. Lowe didn't even oppose him in public. He just asked him to set up a shadow cabinet so they could look like a legitimate alternative. I think he did say what Lowe said in public about Nigel was very mild. Obviously not deserving of the very dishonest attacks that probably did come directly from Nigel against him after that, which led to him being kicked out of the party. Rupert Lowe was done dirty, almost certainly. There may have been more going on behind the scenes that we don't know that may have been mitigating, I don't know. But what Nigel has said is that he wants all the conflicts and disagreements to be behind closed doors, which is understandable given how predatory the press is. And maybe Rupert Lowe's admittedly very mild statements in the public were too much of a breach of that, what Nigel perceived as trust. I think that's an overreaction, but that's the closest I can get to justifying it. But yeah, I can understand the perception that it's sort of an attempt to just rebrand the existing globalist right, but I don't think that's the case. I haven't looked into it. Right, let's continue. Abdul, we must return to Mogadishu. Yes, Hakim, it is far too violent here. While ICE are in conflict with all these rabid leftists, it's not like the Somalians are fighting. I haven't seen any footage of the Somalians fighting for themselves. It's maybe I've missed it, but it seems to all exclusively be delusional white leftists fighting on the behalf of violent criminal illegal immigrants against their own government who are trying to protect them, which is absurd. I don't know what that says, frightened to live in A, but yeah, I don't know what the rest of that says. The Conservative defectors are not necessarily gaining positions of high authority, incidentally. Yeah, the thing is, Somnus, in a lot of those cases, they may not have had much of a choice being in the Conservative Party. That said, Suella Braverman, better than the other two most recent high-profile defections. Braverman seems to have actually resigned when she couldn't get the power she needed to get to do what she wanted. I do think a lot of the people in the Conservative Party, not all of them, but a lot of them actually did have good intentions and just couldn't get it done because they were being blocked. So I don't know about Zahawi or Generic. I'm not saying that they are trustworthy. I think Suella probably is. And yeah, Pug, that is an example of one of the tweets that was brought up in the press conference they had, but they did respond to it. I mean, that was 11 years ago. So the response basically was people can change their minds. So yeah, I don't know how trustworthy he is. I don't suspect he'll be getting a particularly high position. But I do think what Nigel says that you need to know how the parliamentary system works. So you need people who understand it. Does make some sense. Yeah, possibly so, Sumners. Still, that aspect is one thing that could be useful. Is they already know the system, even if it's just to save their own neck. That experience could be used. Next thing, yeah. So this is worth noting. Bread and circuses, Minnesota, Alex Pretty, and Ice. Search frequency is up on this graph to about the 20-25% mark at most. With Seahawks, which I assume is some sports team, jumping, like shooting right up to 100% as soon as some news comes up with that. So, worth noting that sports is always very popular, but these other things are not that far off in terms of the interest. You should expect sports to be popular because it's routine. This news stuff is difficult for people to read. It requires some. I mean, low wits generally don't get interested in it. Mid-wits and up do. So there's a smaller population, smaller proportion of population. It's difficult to hear. It's unpleasant, and it's constantly changing, so it's a bit harder to follow. These factors are probably why it's lower down. Sports is easy to follow, and low wits like it, so you get a lot of people following it. But if the argument being made here is that this stuff isn't relevant, look how more important sports is, for example. I don't think it's a very good argument. But if it's saying bread and circuses will always be a major factor, yes, indeed. I think that the bread and circuses is often used in some very black-pilled narratives, but it is generally true that especially the low wits can be pacified with just a comfortable society. Even if there's horrible things going on behind the scenes, they don't generally care. It's not their job to care. It's our job to convince them to care. It's our job to convince them that it's worse for society, that it will destroy that comfort if things keep going the way they're going. And frankly, we have convinced them of that. As of at least 10 to 15 years ago, the low wits in Western countries have successfully been convinced of that. It's just a matter of overcoming the elites at this point. But the low wits aren't the problem. So bread and circuses isn't really the problem either. Even if they're, the process is ongoing to try to unseat the elites, so far not through force, but it might come to that. They still need something to do in the meantime. So bread and circuses is going to continue. It doesn't mean they're content. Some of them are, but not that many. Football playoffs, Seattle Seahawks doing well. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Ice shooting, that may be high, yeah. I didn't take the screenshot though. Next thing. From r/Silksong, this guy says, I was just strolling through the area and out of nowhere, 3 individuals apprehended me saying they will take me back to Hollow Nest, whether I like it or not. I'm not that familiar with the law, but yeah, here's Lice coming to enforce the law. I don't know if this is pro or anti-ICE, actually, but given it's on Reddit, I suspect I know the answer. Fox is being really strange. Yeah, Bug, you're just going to keep calling him Fox now. Anti-Cincinnati. He probably is, given it's Reddit. All right, next thing. Ah, yes. Many liberal women suffer frostbite on their foreskins while protesting ice in sub-zero temperatures. Imagine showing this to someone like 30 years ago. It's at least reassuring that these people aren't breeding. In almost no cases are they breeding. This insanity, though it's lasted longer than I had originally thought it would, in the last few years, I've come to the conclusion that it's in the last sort of 5, 6, 7 years, I've come to the conclusion that this is not a temporary social contagion. It is a generational problem. But it will end, though it will take some time, it will end. Because the generations are shifting so much because of the ideology that you don't have people who are likely to continue it. It's filtering out too many people, I suspect. Anyway, yeah, this is disgusting. But at least they're suffering for it. Next up. Yeah, Boss, we've got a problem. Users don't want this stuff. They keep wanting to turn it off, even when we keep turning it back on. I have an idea. You can only turn off this setting 3 times a year. OneDrive uses AI to recognize faces in your photos to help you find photos of friends and family. Why would you use a service like this? Well, because you don't know any better, or because it's already set up, or because it's easy or something. But this is just giving Microsoft informed access through AI, which is going to be relatively reliable, informed access to your exact social connections, what your family looks like, just all of it, all this data. This is not good, and you're not allowed to turn it off. Just don't use the service. I mean, why would you trust any Microsoft software anyway, if you can possibly avoid using it, unless it is specifically something that you're using because it is good? Don't use software that comes bundled, especially not from a big corporation. Like, there's one piece of software I use that is Microsoft Code, and that's, I use the open source version of VS Code. And I've tried other ones. I just slightly prefer the one I'm using, but it's specifically the open source version. So even then, like, that's the only thing I use that's Microsoft Code. Don't use anything else. Scarab says Microsoft reinstalls and tries to turn on OneDrive with every major update. It's annoying as fuck. I remember even when I was using, last time I used Windows was Windows 10. I remember OneDrive was always in the fucking system tray, even though I had it turned off in every way you could turn it off. Let it boot on startup so I have the joy of putting a gun to the back of its head like it's Lenny in A Bison Man every time I turn my laptop on. Yeah. Auto-enable without your consent, indeed, yeah. Yeah, indeed. A lot is being put into AI, and the attempts to monetize it have been less than successful. The thing is, as I said before, it's not if it is a bubble, which it very much could be, it's not the same kind of bubble as you've seen in the past. Granted, it's a much larger one. It's not like the dot-com bubble, where the dot-com bubble was the assumption that there would be demand for something, and so supply was produced with a massive initial investment, just chasing the assumed demand. But there wasn't demand for it. It was much, much less than was assumed. With AI, I believe the difference is that there is, or is going to be, colossal demand for it, but it hasn't been made into tools yet that capitalize on that. So the demand is there in principle. The supply is colossal, assuming that the demand can arrive. But the key distinction between those two things is that it hasn't been made into tools that make it useful enough yet to capitalize on the supply and thus find the demand. If that can be done, then the massive investments in AI will actually end up being worth it, and it won't be a bubble. However, it does seem like the implementation or instrumentalization, whatever term you want to use, is lagging behind the investment. It's taking a while for good tools to actually emerge that implement this stuff. So that's the only sense in which it may manifest as a bubble. But I think it's going to be a retraction and a slowing of the AI industry so that it can be capitalized on, so that the technology can be implemented in a period likely of efficiency improvements rather than quality and general performance improvements, which will also reduce power costs, probably bring RAM prices down